moving average convergence to divergence. MACD is an extremely popular indicator used to technical analysis. MACD can be used to identify aspect of the security overall trend. Most notably, these aspects are momentum, as well as trend direction and duration. What make MACD so informative is that it is actually the combination of two different type of indicator. First, MACD employ two moving average of the varying length, which are the lagging indicator to identify the trend direction and duration. Then MACD take the difference of the value between those two moving averages, MACD line and the EMA of those moving averages signal line, and plotted that difference between the two line as a histogram which oscillate above and below the center zero line. The histogram is used as a good indicator of a security momentum. History: the creation of MACD, as we know, it can be split into two separate events. In the 1970, Gerald Appeal created the MACD line. In 1986, Thomas Asprey added the histogram feature to Appeal's MACDs. Asprey contribution served as a way to anticipate and therefore cut down on lag. Possible MACD crossover, which are the fundamental part of the indicator calculation. MACD line 12-day EMA minus 26-day EMA, signal line 90-day EMA of the MACD line, MACD histogram, MACD line minus signal line. The basic here is the chart. अभी there is the two line जो है, one is the orange and another is the blue is the MACD line and orange is the signal line, and this is the histogram. This is the zero, above the zero is the positive, above the positive, and below the zero is the negative value, positive and negative value, and a red and green. The fully understood the MACD indicator, it is the first necessary to break down each of the indicators component. The three major component: MACD line. MACD line is the result of the taking a longer term EMA and subtract it from the shorter term EMA. The most commonly used value are 26 days for the longer term EMA and 12 days for the shorter term EMA, but it is a trader's choice. The signal line. The signal line is the EMA of the MACD line described in a component. The trader can choose what period length EMA to use for the signal line. Between the nine is the most common. The MACD histogram: as the time advances, the difference between the MACD line and the signal line will continuously differ. The MACD histogram take that difference and plot it into the easily tradable histogram. The difference between the two lines oscillate around a zero line. A general interpretation of the MACD is that when the MACD is the positive and the histogram value is increasing, then the upside moment is increasing. When the MACD is the negative and the histogram value is the decreasing, then the down moment is increasing. What look for the MACD indicator is the typically good for identifying three types of basic signal: signal line crossover, zero line crossover, and divergence. Signal line crossover: a signal line crossover is the most common signal produced by the MACD. The first one most considered that the signal line is essentially an indicator of an indicator. The signal line is calculating the moving average of the MACD line. Therefore, the signal line lag behind the MACD line. That being said, on the occasion where the MACD line crosses above the below the signal line, that can be signify a potentially strong move. The strength of move is what determine the duration of the signal line crossover. Understanding and being able to analyze move strength, as well as being able to recognize false signal, is a skill that comes with experience. The first type of signal line crossover to examine is the bullish signal line crossover. Bullish signal line crossover occur when the MACD line crosses above the signal line. The second type of signal line crosses to examine the bearish signal line crossover. Bearish signal line crossover occur when the MACD line cross below the signal line. This is the bullish signal. Here is the blue line is crossing the orange line, means MACD line is crossing the signal line, is the bullish signal crossover. Here is the bearish crossover. and again is the bullish crossover. MACD line crossed by no bro. Zero line crossover have a very similar premises to signal line crossover. Instead of crossing the signal line, zero line crossover occur when the MACD line crosses the zero line and either become the positive above zero or negative below the zero. The first type of zero line crossover to be examined is the bullish line crossover. Bullish zero line crossover occur when the MACD line crosses above the zero line and they go from negative to positive. The second type of the zero line crossover is examined the bearish zero line crossover. Bearish zero line crossover occur when the MACD line crosses below the zero line and go from positive to negative. Go from positive to negative. Here you see this is the bullish crossover. Bullish crossover. Here is the bearish crossover. Bearish crossover, bullish crossover, bearish crossover, and bullish crossover. Divergence is another signal created by the MACD line. Simply but put, divergence is when the MACD and actual price is not in agreement. For example, bullish divergence occur when the price recorded a lower low, but the MACD recorded a higher low. The movement of the price can provide the evidence of the current trend. However, the change in the moment or evidence by the MACD can sometimes precede a significant reversal. Price is trending down, price is trending down, and price is then proceeded to rise. Prices then proceeded to rise. MACD is a trending tip. MACD is a trending tip. Now is the trending tip. Uh, Bearish divergence is, of course, the opposite. Bearish divergence occurred when the price recorded a higher high while the MACD recorded a lower low. MACD recorded a price had a higher highs, then the preceding to drop, then a preceding to drop. MACD had a lower high. MACD had a lower high. MACD has a lower high. Summary: what make the MACD such a valuable tool for the technical analysis that it is almost like two indicator in one. It can help to identify not just trend, but it can measure the momentum as well. It take the two separate lagging indicator and add the aspect of the momentum, which is a much more active or a productive. That kind of versatility is why it has been and is used by the trader and analyzed across the entire spectrum of finance. Despite MACD obviously attribute, just like the any another indicator, the trader or analyst need to be exercise cautious. There are just some things that MACD doesn't do well, which may be tempt traders regardless. Most notably, trader may be tempted into the using MACD as well as to find the overbought or oversold condition. This is not a good idea. Remember, MACD is not bound to a range. So, what is the considered is to be highly positive or negative for one instrument, not be translated well to the different instrument. With the sufficient time and experience, almost anybody who want to analyze chart data should be able to make a good use of the MACDs. Use of the MACD.